am so pleased to be interviewing you today, Harriet, for an Ask the Expert. Harriet Lamb has recently become CEO of the Green Party of England and Wales. She has previously led WRAP, the climate action NGO, the climate change charity Ashton, the peace-building organisation International Alert, the Fair Trade Foundation and Fair Trade International. This is an incredible track record. And obviously you've got human rights and environmental issues right at the centre of your green heart. What led you to that? How did you start on this journey?
Before I answer that, I should just add, sorry about the dog. Having a green heart, I also have a dog.
And your dog is lovely.
You can hear him crying in the background, so I've got to apologise for him. Well, to be honest, what really got me into politics was that I was very lucky and I've spent lots of time in India. I lived there a little bit as a child, and then I went back later when I was 18, when I was 21, and being in India, I just got drawn into the incredible politics of how everybody can change things, that we can all be part of creating the change we want to see in the world, as Gandhi put it. And that just that was my political education, I think, was in India, where I spent time with a amazing group of women up in the mountains who were literally hugging the trees. The Chipko movement, it was called, were literally hugging the trees to stop them being felled. And so from that I just learnt the power of individuals and of each of us, and that stayed with me.
And that's an amazing education to start with. So you're now CEO of the Green Party and trying to influence, not their politics, but their, support the party membership and everything. What's your role? What exactly do you do with them?
Yeah, I know everyone wonders, what on earth is the role of a CEO of a political party? Because obviously you've got the leadership who are elected by the members, and they provide the overall strategy. And the Green Party is very democratic, so actually we've got lots of different bodies working on and deciding different aspects of our policies. But as the CEO, you're the person behind the scenes trying to bring in the funds that we need, manage the finance, get the digital system set up, make sure our membership is growing, and I'm happy to say our membership is growing very fast at the minute, working to really encourage more and more people not only to come and join the Green Party, but to stand as councillors and then perhaps to stand as MPs, and providing the training and the background for that, while also making sure we have people from right across the country who represent the full diversity of England and Wales.
Inclusive, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a lot of work still to do on that. We would be the first to say we are a long way off being as diverse as we should be.
And you've got the leadership campaign going on as we speak.
Well, as we speak, we're in the most exciting time, because we have a great leadership election going on, which I think has really helped, actually, because it's helped people see how exciting it can be to be involved in politics at the minute.
Yeah, it's time of change, and as the world is changing, we need politics to change and move on. So absolutely right. I've got some other questions for you, Harriet. Before the Green Party, you led Fair Trade Foundation and Let's Go Zero, part of Ashton. How did those experiences shape your views on education's role to make sure we have informed consumers and citizens?
Well, do you know what? When I was at Fair Trade, and I spent 15 years at Fair Trade, it was schools that came banging on our door and said, we want to be part of creating this movement. We want, as children, as teachers, to be playing our part, because what Fair Trade does, which is so brilliant, is it's a really easy, practical way to connect with these big, difficult issues around sustainability, around the environment, around justice and fairness. And the kids love going to look out, so what Fair Trade products can I buy? What do I find in the shop? What can you get? And they created really this whole idea of fair trade schools. And so I really learnt from both teachers and young people about the incredible potential to take big global issues and link them into schools, and the importance then of having those kind of sustainability initiatives and education within school itself. And so inspired by that, then I was working at Ashton, which is a climate solutions charity, And we used to work with schools, and again we got this real sense that schools wanted to be part of something that was bigger than just them. They didn't want to be struggling away on their own working out how to do sustainability in their school. They wanted to be part of something bigger. So we formed this campaign called Let's Go Zero, a huge coalition. Do you know about it?
Thousands of schools.
7,000 schools have signed up, and they're basically saying we want to be zero carbon by 2030 and we'll play our part, which means bringing nature into the playground. It means looking at local food. It means having renewable energy, and it means about looking at the curriculum and what are we teaching kids. So it's really exciting.
And the Let's Go Zero team are amazing. We've got some amazing people up here in the northeast, but and led by Alex Green Central. You know, no, absolutely,
she's
incredible.
a dynamo.
And the amount of carbon they reducing use of carbon in schools, and they're saving money. That's the. I mean, even if we're not taking climate action, actually, it's about clean energy use, and trying to insulate buildings, and really just making sense to save schools money.
Absolutely, it's a sort of no-brainer, really, isn't it? That if you not every school, but most schools, often you can also link up with a community initiative. If you put solar panels on your roofs, you're getting cheap energy. The children are learning about renewable energy.
You can bring it into maths, you can bring it into science, and
across the piece. So what's not to like?
Absolutely.
The only problem with the upfront capital costs, and that's where community energy or government grants are so important. And that's why a scheme like Let's Go Zero has always been also about really calling on the government to invest in schools as our key way, not only of making those direct changes, but actually of enabling children to be part of the future they want to see in the country.
Yeah, and actually, over the last couple of years, we have started to see some changes in schools, for the positive. And even though the climate and sustainability strategy is still just strategy, and should be made, policy, there, a lot of schools are really trying to, fight the good fight, as it were.
I think it's amazing what schools do, because they're so up against it on so many fronts, aren't they?
And behaviour,
they've got so many issues to deal with. They've got so little finance, and yet we see this incredible energy to do more on the climate and sustainability. So I think,
and
round of applause.
And actually, where I met you, Harriet, was the finals of the Young Green Britain Challenge, and seeing young people become change makers and put their ideas into action is just joyful.
Oh, how inspiring was that? They had all these wild and wacky ideas of taking things like making sure, for example, that they ran a little shop in the local community centre to recycle baby clothes. Yeah. That was one idea, wasn't it? Another idea.
Sustain Inhale, to replace inhalers with not disposable plastic. Amazing.
Incredible. And some of their ideas were totally practical. Anyone could do them tomorrow. And some of them were real genius, like invention pieces that needed
I'm always
some scientists.
I've been working with young people for many years, and they always blow me away with their ideas at the challenge. Right, so let's move on. The Labour government has recently announced they intend to lower the voting age to 16 before the next general election. How might this change the way we approach citizenship and democracy education in schools?
Well, first of all, can I say it's actually a great initiative. At the Green Party, we welcome this. We've always wanted to lower the voting age, and we're really pleased that this government has done that. And actually, it connects to what we were just saying. Young people are so on it. They are so full of ideas and initiatives, and quite right, too, that we then give them the chance to vote. And we think to make it really effective, it should be allied with mandatory citizenship education going up to 18, so that people have the chance to really explore the issues that they're now going to be in a position to vote upon, and that we give them all the tools and the way to work out how to choose who to vote for, and to discuss it together, and to hold mock elections. We think they're also such a great initiative. So we hope that to make it really effective, that the government will bring in those additional supplementary bits behind the voting age.
And it's understanding about what goes on with lobbying, who funds some of these political parties, and
that's
really
a good point.
Yes, I know.
We know a lot about that at the Green Party. We don't have nearly enough funds. We're very proud that 98% of our funding really comes from the members, which is great. And we would like some bigger donations as well to help us power forward. Because obviously for us, this is a really key time. Everything's changing in British politics. We've gone from this stale old two-party system to the whole thing is wide open now. So for young people, being able to vote for the first time, what an exciting moment in British politics. And where really you've got the old mainstream plod-along parties of the last century, if you like, but then you've got all the new and excitement that you can see around somewhere like the Green Party, which is growing really fast. I mean, we've got 867 councillors up and down the country. We've got other new parties coming up, and of course we have got Reform and the rise of Reform, which we believe is deeply worrying as a far-right political force, which is pulling the agenda right, which is why we feel it's so important that the Greens are strong and able to be that countervailing force, and people have a real choice.
And yeah, absolutely. And then you've got Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. You know, there's
coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some exciting things going on, and that's why and young people should be excited about politics, because it's something talking to your MP, writing to your MP can be really hugely influential, and to use literacy skills and oracy skills and all sorts.
I mean, we see that with the Young Greens. They're an absolute force to be reckoned with, and they offer training, which means we've really seen Young Greens coming up through the party, and I think that goes back to that idea you need to accompany the right to vote and the ability to participate in our democracy with the support so people can grow.
Not just thinking that someone who does a cool TikTok video might be someone to vote for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's helping people have the broad range of skills and participate and stand themselves. Honestly, they're awesome, the Young Greens.
And so you think that if there's critics who say 16-year-olds aren't mature enough to vote, you wouldn't agree with that?
I would certainly not agree. I'd say, well, you can work at 16, you pay taxes at 16, you can join the army under 18. I mean, there's any number of ways in which we enable young people, quite rightly, to participate in our society. So it makes complete sense that you can also vote at 16.
But I mean, and actually that means that some children will be voting while they're at school, which is,
Well, which is back to why it's so important that schools are able to give the time and the energy and have the funds to put citizenship education right there in the centre, particularly when there are elections coming up. And I think we can learn a lot from what they've done in Wales and Scotland, where they've already lowered the voting
and actually
age.
that might encourage people to go and take politics at sort of A level. And,
yes, to make those choices and also to get involved themselves. And I think all of us are guilty of complaining about politicians, but if we don't train people up and make it possible for people to come in and see political careers as a really exciting way you can contribute to society, well, then we shouldn't be surprised if we have people who perhaps don't always seem to have the best values at heart, and that's where really encouraging people
and understanding how some of those bigger organisations like the UN, how they can sway things, but they can't actually really make a certain country's politics particularly change.
Exactly. Well, and even thinking about the whole nature of change and what can you change quickly and what takes decades and years. And it's really interesting, isn't it? But things do sometimes change just like that. I always remember, when we were growing up, you could smoke in aeroplanes, in buses, cinemas, in pubs, in buses. Now, you would never see that. Society made that enormous shift. And I thought it's often a slow build, and then suddenly things change. So, and I think that's what we've got to really hold on to. What is it that we can do to help create those changes, including making the shifts to address the climate crisis, which is another one that for years bubbled along and people denied and argued about, and now everyone has acknowledged it.
But still, it's not that present in education in many ways. We still need to do a lot of work on that.
Yes.
So should schools be taking stronger stances on sustainability issues, or does that risk crossing over into political territory?
Well, I think schools already, there are so many inspiring schools doing so much on sustainability. And sustainability itself is absolutely not a political football or something. It's a way of doing things, a way of doing business. I mean, most big businesses have someone working on sustainability. Many small businesses are all about sustainability. So there's nothing political to be caring about running your school, your business, your community in a way that means it will last and will be good for nature, good for people, which is at the end of the day what sustainability is about. And so no one need worry about sustainability being too political or about addressing the climate crisis. I mean, that's in the law, for goodness sake, in this country, that we're going to try to meet, zero carbon by 2030. So that's the law. No one need worry that talking about that is political. Having said that, there is still so much more we can do. And that's where I think those leading schools can be an absolute inspiration for schools that are still struggling and are thinking, how do I fit this into my busy day? I haven't got anyone. Yeah. And take the resources that are out there on places like Let's Go Zero, or from other schools in your neighbourhood, in your area, and learn and share. And honestly, it's just about feeling confident, isn't it?
Collaboration and communication and networking,
I mean, that must be what you do at the Ministry of Eco-Education.
Absolutely. And, I think there's lots of things you can do, and we can support people with that. And, it's great to see that, I think there's increasingly going to be less and less discussion that is a political issue at all, and that it is something that we should just be embedding into education at every opportunity. Right, I've got one last question for you. What would you tell educators who feel frustrated by the pace of policy change to protect the planet for future generations? Because in the end of the day, as teachers, we have young people in our classrooms, and for any really climate concerned teachers, sometimes it feels like it goes so slow.
Well, it does go slow. I mean, that is the truth. I think all of us feel that frustration sometimes, don't we? And it's, in particular, this, as you say, it's the children's future. And it was really inspiring, wasn't it, when we had all those school strikes and young people were just pushing forward and saying, come on, world leaders, you've got to take more action more strongly. And we need to keep doing that, because that message hasn't been heard well enough. It hasn't. And there's always other issues competing for attention. So we have to keep pushing at that level. But we can also do so much in our own communities, in our own schools, in our own local way, which is where very often the children are so inspiring, because they see straight away what could be done in their school, in their community, and they've got the solutions and the energy to do it. And at the end of the day, I always think that what creates change is always that interplay between the individual actions that you and me can take in the way we live our everyday lives, but you want it to add up to more than the sum of the parts and get that big policy shift from government.
And community action is part of that. So it's individual action, community action.
Yes.
Or collective action, and then that leads to drive system change.
Because that creates the mandate to governments. Governments are always nervous. They always think I mustn't be out of tune, I mustn't be out of step with the public. It's interesting, actually. Research after research shows that worry about the climate is right up there in the top 4 issues, and it's not commanding very much media attention at the minute. So you might logically think it was dropping down. Not at all. No. The public care about it, and they want to do something, and they want both the simple actions and they want those big bold moves, which of course we at the Green Party are pushing for.
I can imagine you are going to be a fantastic CEO for the Green Party. I love your energy, and your garden is just simply divine.
We're very lucky to live in beautiful Northumberland.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your time, Harriet.
Thank you.
And good luck with the new role, because it is still quite new.
Yes.
And the next leader of the Green Party. I'm sure it's very exciting times.
Yeah, all to come.
All to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.